In Amos 9 and verse 7, God is speaking to the children of Israel, and he says, "Are you not as the Ethiopians unto me?" Now, some versions are going to say Cushite, which if you don't look that up, it's not really going to mean much to you. But if you look up the word Cushite, it's going to say Ethiopian. Now, we all know Ethiopians are very, very dark-skinned people. And God was comparing his people, the children of Israel, to them. A couple of other scriptures are Lamentations 5 and verse 10 and Job 30:30. Those also refer to the skin color of the Israelites as being black. Now, I have to tell you this. If you have a new King James Version, it's going to take the word black out. You need to go into an older King James Version, and it will have the proper words in there. Now, you have to ask yourself, first of all, why do we need a new version of the Bible? What was wrong with the old one? And second of all, why would they take the word black out? What are they trying to hide?
My name is WhitE, and I want to talk about the true Hebrew Israelites. As you can see from the lady, is trying to give much more information. And to be more profound, you realize that the person who is actually talking here is actually admitting that the black people are the true Hebrew Israelites.
Hey, I'm back for my second video today. I am doing this video. I've been, like I said in my first video, I've been watching the Black Hebrew Israelites on YouTube, and I've been learning a lot. And so I just felt like everything that I've been learning, I feel like now it's my responsibility, now that I know the truth, to get it out there. So I'm hoping that by me doing this video, that maybe it will help to wake up some of the other Black Hebrew Israelites. I see them on the videos, I read their comments, and a lot of them are just like, the Bible's not talking about us, that can't be us. Like, that's not us. And I want you to know that yes, it is talking about you. So first things first, let me give a little bit of background about myself. I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness up until I was about 18. Something just didn't feel right. I couldn't figure out exactly what it was, but something was off, and I thought maybe it was just me. I don't know if you're familiar with the Jehovah's Witnesses, but if you are not living the guidelines that they say you should be living, you're not accepted. And so I just felt like, well, I'm just a bad person. I can't live like that. And with my basically entire family, with the exception of a couple people, all being Jehovah's Witness, I was taught this by my mother and my father, so I felt like being lied to never even crossed my mind. I never thought that's what was going on. But now I realize, yeah, that is exactly what happened, and I'm also trying to get my family to realize the truth. The first thing I want to talk about is the appearance of the ancient Hebrew Israelites. I'm going to give you a few scriptures. It's not a lot, but to me, if you don't see it after reading these few scriptures, then you're probably never going to see it. The first thing, before you do this research, you need to push out of your mind everything that you've been taught, trained, religion that you've been taught, everything. Just push it all out and start with a clean slate. It took me about a year for my eyes to be opened, because even though I wasn't a Jehovah's Witness anymore, I still felt like that was the truth. And I was still defending it. And it wasn't until I pushed that out of my mind that my eyes truly got opened. The first thing I want to talk about is in Exodus chapter 4, verses 6 and 7. When God was speaking to Moses and he was going to use him to bring the children of Israel out of Egypt where they were enslaved, he was giving him some signs to let him know that, hey, I will be with you, I will help you with this. So he had told Moses in this particular chapter and verses, he said, stick your hand into your bosom. And when he pulled it out, it says that it was white as snow. Now, if you were to take somebody of my skin color and stick my hand in my bosom, pull it out, and it's still white, that's not really going to be anything miraculous. But now if you were to take a person of black skin and put their hand in their bosom, pull it out, and it's white, that would be pretty miraculous. Another example is of Miriam. In Numbers chapter 12 and verse 10, it says God turned her into a leper and she was white as snow. So if he turned her white, then she obviously had to be black to begin with. In Amos 9 and verse 7, God is speaking to the children of Israel, and he says, "Are you not as the Ethiopians unto me?" Now, some versions are going to say Cushite, which if you don't look that up, it's not really going to mean much to you. But if you look up the word Cushite, it's going to say Ethiopian. Now, we all know Ethiopians are very, very dark-skinned people. And God was comparing his people, the children of Israel, to them. A couple of other scriptures are Lamentations 5 and verse 10 and Job 30:30. Those also refer to the skin color of the Israelites as being black. Now, I have to tell you this. If you have a new King James Version, it's going to take the word black out. You need to go into an older King James Version, and it will have the proper words in there. Now, you have to ask yourself, first of all, why do we need a new version of the Bible? What was wrong with the old one? And second of all, why would they take the word black out? What are they trying to hide? Now, in Revelation chapter 1, verses 13 through 15, is a description of Christ. And it brings out that he had hair white like wool. Now, I want to show you a picture. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody knows what wool looks like, but I just wanted you to get a good visual. Okay? Now, there's wool. Now, I'm going to show you another picture, and we all know who this is. But when you look at his hair, it is exactly like the sheep's wool. Now, I know it says that it was white, so I want to show you a picture of an older Hebrew Israelite. And when you look at his hair, that's exactly what it is, white like wool. Now, if you look at the gentleman next to him, who is a so-called white person, he does not have woolly hair. And white people in general don't. I mean, you look at my hair, it's not woolly. It's thin and fine and straight, which is pretty much the norm for the so-called white people. Now, also in Daniel 7, chapter 7, verse 9, it talks about the Ancient of Days, which is God himself. And there's a description of him there, and it says he had hair white like wool. So when you read these scriptures, it really shows beyond a shadow of a doubt that God, Christ, and the ancient Hebrews were all black people with hair like wool. Excuse me. Now, another thing I want to touch on is in Deuteronomy chapter 28. Now, the first 14 verses are talking about God is telling the Israelites, okay, if you keep my commands, this is what I'll do for you. The remaining verses he's telling them, if you don't keep my commands, then this is what will happen. I want to read chapter 28 and verse 68. It says, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you." Now, if you were to get a globe and you were to look at where the Hebrew Israelites were at, they would not need a ship to get to Egypt. So God was obviously talking about something else. He wasn't talking about the physical land of Egypt. If you look in Exodus 13:3 and Deuteronomy 20 and verse 2, it refers to Egypt as a house of bondage. Now, I want to show you something, and I know everybody has seen this. I saw it a million times, but never paid any attention and never really thought twice about it. But on the back of the dollar bill, there's a pyramid. Now, pyramids are notorious with Egypt. I mean, you say pyramid, that's automatically what you think of is Egypt. So why would the United States of America put a pyramid on the back of their dollar bill? Now, with the word Egypt meaning house of bondage, God was obviously telling the Israelites, hey, I'm going to put you back into slavery. Now, the only race of people that were brought over on ships and sold as bondmen and bondwomen, which are slaves, are the so-called African Americans. That's the term that the white man has given them. Now, like I said before, if after you do this research, which I don't expect you to take anything that I'm telling you, look it up for yourself, do the research. That's what I did. Anytime I was shown a scripture, shown something in a book, I'd look it up myself and do the same thing. And if at the end of that you still can't see it, then I really don't know what else to say. But I want the Black Hebrew Israelites, I'm trying to help to get them woke up and to see the rich heritage that they really have, and what a blessing to be one of God's chosen people. I mean, honestly, I'd give my left foot to be one of God's chosen people. So I'm just trying to help and get this out there, and I'm hoping that if one person listens to what I have to say and they see the truth, then great. I'm ecstatic. So I'm hoping that this helps, and I hope everybody enjoyed my video. Thank you.
Of the Kuzarim.
Yeah, that's us. That's me, actually.
Okay, so what is your... this is a question that comes from outside of Israel. What is your opinion about the theory that Ashkenazim came from Kuzarim?
It seems relevant. It's quite obvious that white Jewish people, Ashkenazim from Europe, are not genetically, as much as I can tell, I'm not an expert, but they don't look the same like Arab Jews, people that came from Arab countries, and Ethiopians. I don't think there's a lot of, there may be some genetic relations, but there's a lot of genetic differences, and any theory that says that we're not genetically come from the same ancestors makes sense to me.
Ashkenaz is one of the Gentile nations. Now, 80 to 85% of today's so-called Jewry, those who claim to be Jews in the world today, 80 to 85% of them are what is known as Ashkenazi Jews. And an Ashkenazi Jew is so named because he primarily descends from this guy in the Bible named Ashkenaz, which is clearly listed as one of the Gentile nations. Now, the reason for this is that there was a nation of people who were Europeans, white people, known as the Khazars. And in the 8th century after Christ, the whole nation of the Khazars turned unto Judaism. They converted to the religion of Judaism. Of course, it was a false, Christ-rejecting religion. And for a few hundred years, the empire of the Khazars was a power in Eastern Europe, and they followed the religion of Judaism. But eventually they were defeated by the Russians, and they were scattered into Eastern Europe. And so a lot of the Eastern European Jews today are the descendants of the Khazars.
And so a lot of the Eastern European Jews today are the descendants of the Khazars.
I was today years old when I found out.
Ashkenaz, the eldest of the 3 sons of Gomer, the son of Japhet, and the name of a kingdom, referencing these same verses. Most likely it was the Scythian kingdom. And then after a few hundred years, they're lost from history. So they have 0 to do with Israel, 0 to do with Jewish people, 0 to do with Ashkenazi Jews today. 0. You say, well, where did the name Ashkenazi came from? So a little over 1,000 years ago, as Jewish people scattered around the world had now emigrated in Europe and now were living in the Rhineland in Germany, they looked at the name Gomer in Genesis 10, and they connected Gomer with Germany. So they took on the identity of the name Ashkenaz. It has nothing to do with Ashkenaz in the Bible, which is a descendant of Japhet. It's just a name that was taken. Okay, it's that simple. Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin or anything else. It was shortened from a Russian name when my grandfather came over at Ellis Island. The name got shortened to Brown. It's just a name. That's all it is. So the idea that Ashkenazi Jews are descended from Japhet is a myth. 100% false, zero truth to it. Just study the history, look into it, check the Bible dictionaries, encyclopedias, the archaeological works, you'll find the exact same thing.
Key takeaway points and food for thought. 1. The original Jews are defined as those from the line of Judah. Judah was the fourth son of Jacob. 2. Ashkenaz was the first son of Gomer and is from the line of Japheth and not Shem. 3. They labeled themselves as Ashkenaz but claim to be from the line of Shem. If they knew their history, would this error have been made? 4. The term Ashkenazi Jew is historically incorrect, as previously mentioned Ashkenaz and Judah are from separate lineages. 5. They self-identified as Ashkenazi and were not labeled as such. Due to the confusion in establishing their true lineage, one could suggest this has been a ploy to hijack the identity of an already established people. 6. It's claimed that the Ashkenazi people have been lost to history. But, are people ever lost to history, or are they invaded, conquered and assimilated?
I'm a Palestinian. From 21 until 48, I carried a Palestinian passport. There was no such thing in this area as Jews and Arabs and Palestinians. There were Jews and Arabs.
Don't you... I mean, you deny that there was a Palestine Arab people before, but there is now a Palestine liberation movement. The history of liberation movements are that they grow. Won't this one grow and become in end, in fact, your biggest enemy?
I don't say there are no Palestinians, but I say there is no such thing as a distinct Palestinian people of all the Palestinians who live in Jordan. Why have the Palestinians in the West Bank become more Palestinians since the 5th of June 67 than they were before? Why didn't they set up a Palestinian country in addition to Jordan? Supposing your premise is right, then what should they have done? They should have set up another independent Palestine and fought from there. They didn't do that. They adopted the fact that they are in Jordan. They've adopted the Jordanian citizens. They are the majority in Jordan. They are in parliament. They are in government. What has happened since? Why have they become more Palestinian conscious since the War of 67?
This feels like Christmas morning. I got a 23andMe ancestry and health kit. I think that I kind of want to start with the ancestry side. And it says ancestry composition. I'm 49.9% Ashkenazi Jewish. That's not a huge surprise to me at all, since my mom's side of the family is completely Jewish. My dad's side is not Jewish though. So let's go to there. Let's see what's going on. This is like, I feel really like on the spot. Okay, so I'm 100% European, which again is not a huge surprise to me, but it's just funny seeing it like that. I'm 49% Ashkenazi Jew, totally. British and Irish and German and French, a little bit Scandinavian, Northeastern European. Yeah, it's not super exciting, but I kind of know all of that information. I didn't realize how much of my family was from Germany though, so that's interesting. So let's see if I can get more information on this. It's funny, like I know where like my relatives and stuff came from, but it's kind of fun to see it broken down like this. Yeah, totally not surprising having the British and Irish be pretty strong. The German is though, so I wonder who came from Germany. I wonder if it has to do with the Ashkenazi Jewish part of my family. No really Scandinavian, no Italian. Wow, okay. It's pretty vague. It doesn't give you like, which it makes sense, but there's nothing really random in there. There's a tiny bit of East Asian and Native American, like the slightest. The first thing that they're telling me to do is do the late onset Alzheimer's disease. I do have some dementia in my family, so I wouldn't be super surprised if this was positive, but my heart's racing a little bit. I don't know. So I don't have the however you say that. So there's zero variants detected, which is, I guess, a positive thing. Cool. So Parkinson's disease. Let's open that guy up. I know that's like a very, so I have 0 variants detected. So age-related macular degeneration, a variant detected, not likely at increased risk. I'm not totally sure what that totally means, but AMD, we're familiar with that condition, but we'll see. I'll do more research on this. Have a slightly increased risk of celiac disease, which I've actually been tested by, like, I've gotten blood work and stuff done for celiac disease. And I definitely, gluten is harder for me to digest, but yeah. Interesting.
Let's unravel the mysteries behind Ashkenazi genetics. Ashkenazi Jews are a Jewish diaspora population who formed in the Holy Roman Empire around 1,000 years ago. The total Ashkenazi population is estimated at 10 million people. Today they live mostly in the United States as well as in Israel, where they represent over 1/3 of the Jewish population. They are descended from Levantine Jews who mixed with native Europeans, mostly from southern but also from Eastern Europe. The combination of European and Levantine admixture makes Ashkenazi Jews genetically close to Southern Italians, Sicilians, Greek islanders, or Maltese people. Using ancestral populations, Ashkenazi Jews can be modeled as being roughly 49% Anatolian Neolithic farmer, 24% steppe, 13% Natufian, and 9% Iranian Neolithic, with minor Caucasian, North African, and East Eurasian contributions. Get your custom DNA report today at world-genetics.com.
The results are in, y'all. And good news, I'm not from the Walmart discount section. First up, we are 50% Jewish. Woo! Yes, I did have a bat mitzvah. Next, we got 26% Indigenous Americas, aka Mexico, aka Aztec warrior. Then we got 14% coming from Spain. Shout out to all those conquistadors. And 3% Basque. Interesting. This is like the full little map thing they give you. And then I also get to see people I'm related to that I've never even heard about before. Kind of crazy, kind of cool, it's kind of scary.
My name is WhitE, and I want to talk about the true Hebrew Israelites. As you can see from the lady, is trying to give much more information. And to be more profound, you realize that the person who is actually talking here is actually admitting that the black people are the true Hebrew Israelites. Now, the hidden truth they don't want to talk about is what this lady was talking about here. Now, I want to give you an intro of what is happening here. Now, for years, the question echoes through churches, street corners, and even the online debates like, are black people the true Hebrew Israelites? It is not just about religion, right? It is about identity, history, and even the truth. Because for centuries, history was written by conquerors, and entire peoples were stripped of their roots. Now, the descendants of those people are asking, who are we really? Many scholars, theologians, and even the independent researchers have pointed out striking connections between Bible Israelites and even the African people, especially those scattered across Western Africa and later enslaved in America. Now, tribes such as the Igbo in Nigeria and Akan of Ghana and even the Ewe of Togo all have customs, names, and even tradition that mirror ancient Hebrew practices, like circumcisions on the 8th day, dietary laws, and even the Sabbath observations. So the question isn't far-fetched historically. How did people with so much Hebrew-like tradition end up enslaved and scattered across the earth, just as the Bible described? In Deuteronomy 28, the Bible describes a nation of people who would be taken in ship, sold to enemies, and scattered amongst nations, losing their identity. Now, for many, that sounds eerily familiar to the transatlantic slave trade. Now, centuries later, those same descendants are waking up, learning the language, revisiting the scriptures, and saying, wait a minute, that's us, right? Whether you interpret it spiritually or historically, there is no denial that this isn't awakening, is shaking the very foundation of how people see the Bible and even the black experience. Now, for too long, black people were told their history began with slavery, that before chains there was nothing. But this movement says otherwise. Like it says, our history didn't start on the plantation. It started in Jerusalem, Ethiopia, and even the Nile Valley. Reclaiming that identity isn't about hate, it is about healing. It is about remembering that the first image of humanity wasn't European, it was African, brown, and divine. So why is this message so controversial is that because identity is very, very powerful. Why the world resists this truth? It is because the identity is very powerful. If you tell people they are nobody, you control them. But if those same people discover they are descendants of kings, prophets, and even chosen one, they start working differently. They start thinking differently. And systems built on their ignorance begin to crumble. And that's why the black people are the true Israelites, threatens more than religion. It threatens the control of history itself. Now, let's be real here, guys. Being a true Israelite isn't just about melanin or the geography. It is about the spirit and even the obedience, living by truth, justice, and even the love. Because what good people is claiming Israelites' root if we don't reflect the values that made them chosen in the first place. The awakening isn't about superiority, it is about accountability. It is about people realizing that they carry the same covenant, the same purpose, and even the same responsibility to uplift humanity. Now, more people are actually waking up, researching, connecting the dots, and even realizing that history was written to erase black divinity. Now, the truth is resurfacing, and it is accountability. It is very uncomfortable for those who benefited from the lie. But truth always wins. And when people who have been broken for centuries start to rediscover who they are, that's not even a rebellion. That is a resurrection. My closing message is that whether you believe it's spiritual, historically, or symbolically, the message is very clear that black people are not cast, not lost, not forgotten. They're the original people of covenant, rising again to remember who they are. And when that truth fully awakens, the world will never be the same. Okay? See you in another episode. My name is Kwaka Kids.